Daddy issues. Wow. Hi, my name is Susy Porter, and I help women rewrite their lives so that they can then create their happily ever after. I'm a life coach and I work with women and specifically with their life story because our story is the blueprint for our life. And so much of our present day pain and all of our present day pain is from uh, beliefs that we had from our story, from our past. So today I wanted to talk about daddy issues. They say, write what you know. Well, I know daddy issues. um, and so the daddy, the father archetype, it's as old as life, right? We call God our father. It's a pretty dominant archetype in every culture. And growing up with my dad, I always was jealous of my girlfriends who had great dads because my dad wasn't really a great dad. And I was jealous of my girlfriends whose dads were just like good. I was jealous of my girlfriends who had dads who were just normal and not, pedophiles. And I'm sorry to make light of it, but I'm very detached from the pain of my origin story because I've worked really, really hard to heal it. So, but in growing up, I had this belief that if only I would have had a good dad, my whole life could have been different. That if I would have had a daddy who encouraged me and believed in me and kept healthy boundaries, my whole life would have been different. I could have been on Broadway. I could have had happy, healthy relationships with men. Maybe I wouldn't have been depressed for half my life if only I would have had a good dad. I was sure that having my dad for a dad was at the root of all my life's biggest problems. But as I grew up and I met more and more women, I noticed that even some of my girlfriends who had like amazing dads would get into these terrible relationships. And it really confused me and it blew my theory. I was like, okay, maybe that's not true. Why would a girl who had a great dad date a creepy guy? It was like, what do they call that? Cognitive dissonance. Does not compute, does not make sense. So I think the answers are are more complex. We're people and we're just complicated emotionally. I do remember reading in a relationship book once that we tend to attract the partner who is all subconsciously, of course, who is most like the parent who we have the most unresolved issues with. And then we unconsciously try to heal our broken parent relationship in our romantic relationship. And that's where the fun begins, right? Ah, there's no such thing as a perfect dad or a perfect parent. And I really love the verse in the Bible that says, love covers a multitude of sins. If we feel loved, that goes a long way, right? That security of just knowing, well, my mom and dad screwed up, but they loved me. That security will take you and carry you and support you your whole life. But for a daughter who didn't feel loved and wasn't loved by her father for whatever reason, uh, it's tough. It's kind of like my girlfriend who has a master's in psychology said to me once, she said, Susie, it's like you have a broken leg. And I never, like you grew up with a broken leg emotionally. And I never kind of hit me. I was like, really? Because I think I was in denial most of my life. I thought I was fine. I think in my case, my dad just he never developed empathy. I don't need to label him. I know that there's really popular labels going around, but I don't need to label him. I just know that having him for a dad without that emotional connection and without that having a father who didn't have the ability to love and didn't have empathy, it's like the kid has to take on the responsibility of the parent, right? And the kid has to figure out how to be the loving parent. Family systems are complicated, right? And now, because I'm a daughter and a mother, I see it all from a much larger perspective, and I have a lot more compassion for parents in general. I've worked really, 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 really hard to heal my daddy issues. Decades of therapy and deep, consistent spiritual practice have brought me to where I am now. We all have things to figure out. We all have our work to do. We all have our shadow. In the end, it always comes back to us. Whether we have daddy issues, mommy issues, or some other kind of issues, it always begins and ends with us. And for so long, I put my power in the past. I grieved for a childhood and a daddy I would never have. I would watch Little House on the Prairie and long for a dad like Pa, who would play the fiddle and call me Half Pint, that little twinkle in his eye. Oh, Michael Landon, would you be my daddy? Or Andy Griffith. Even Mr. Brady, give me a good dad. I appreciated the dads that my friends had, and they took their dads for granted. I would adopt their dads, and that actually kind of helped. It's a tricky trip healing your daddy issues. It's not like breaking up with a boyfriend and moving on. It's your father. So you can't suppress your feelings, but if you hate your dad, you're gonna be miserable because daddy and child are so connected. And if you blame your dad, you'll always be a victim. And you just can't be happy. But I do think it's necessary if you were molested or beaten or traumatized or whatever in your childhood. I do think it's a healthy first step to feel your anger and your rage, absolutely positively. But if you keep feeling that for more than like a couple of years or so, then you're never going to be happy. So I can honestly say I don't hate my dad, and I don't even blame him anymore. I'm actually convinced that people do the best they can. And like Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. And my dad just never knew better. So I actually like to think that God or the universe is my true parent. And with that parent, I don't have any issues. I am loved, I am cared for, and I am protected. No matter what our issues are, we can heal from them. We can integrate our pain and our anger and our hurt. We can, and only we can. Our childhood's over, and now we have to parent, or as therapists say, reparent ourselves. And we have to be the love and give ourselves that love and that strength that we needed then. We have to give that to ourselves now. We have to take charge and take responsibility of our own healing. We're all connected. And any feelings of isolation or separateness, or that you're a weirdo or you're different, that's just the ego's bullshit. The Course in Miracles says all minds are joined, and we are all one. Do you have daddy issues? Welcome to the club. You can heal, you can grow, and you can have a happy life. It begins with making the decision to try. And I know it's hard. I get it. I understand. Believe me. But the sooner you get started, the sooner you'll feel better. I wish you all the love in the world. What's required is that you open your mind and your heart just a little. In a dark room, when you open the door just a little, the sun can come streaming in and light up the entire room. You can take it slow. It's scary to let love in when you've not gotten love as a kid. It's scary. It's hard to trust when your trust was betrayed at such an early age. I know that. But I'm telling you from experience, if you open your heart just a little bit, there is a love that is greater than any love that you've ever known, is greater than the love of any human mother or father, is greater than any human relationship. And that love can take you to complete wholeness and complete healing and complete integration, and you can be happy. You don't have to live constantly mourning what you didn't get as a kid. There is a mother and a father that is greater and that is pure love and that wants to heal you. All you have to do is say, yes, I'm willing. Take good care.